everybody. Welcome to TalentFRED's podcast. This is my first edition. It's going to be a platform for helping people to unlock their best potential, staying informed, and finding their best opportunities to tailor just for them. And I'm Fred Scott, the person who wrote the book about unveiling your potential. And on this journey of mine, I am going to introduce you to different people who have great professional expertise, who will talk about their journey, who will talk about goals that they have for them. Today, I know you're probably saying, is this a lot of, wait a minute. Yes, my guest today is Dr. Fred Scott, my namesake. And no,
Yep.
he's not my son, but isn't it great to have someone like that? I want to share a little bit about how we even encountered. Fred was one of my last initiates when I was the district director of Virginia for Alphaphialpha Fraternity Incorporated. Shout out to my brotherhood. And his name is Fred Scott. Isn't that amazing? Same age as my son. No, he's not my child, but I'm excited about this. What I'm excited about is his expertise to talk about two of the frank pieces in my domain, um, nurturing you and triumph you. And I would like for Fred to introduce himself, what he does, and et cetera. How about that? I'll now turn it over to you.
All right, that's fine. So, fun fact, you are saved in my phone as Fred Scott in parentheses fraternal dad. So while you may not be my dad in my phone, you say there's fraternal dad in there with that connection. So I'm Dr. Fred Scott. I'm a licensed professional counselor within the Commonwealth of Virginia. I've been working in the behavioral health field for almost 10 years now. Um, far as expertise, I've worked with quite a few different populations from adolescents in a crisis on step down unit for a community service board. I work with our veterans at the VA hospital. I've also worked with patients with SMI or severe mental illness at the VA hospital. That includes diagnoses like schizophrenia and bipolar. I do couples therapy,
Whoa.
individual therapy. And recently I added the specialization of ADHD treatments for individuals who are dealing with attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder. On
Well,
top of that,
oh, wow.
I just recently had the bright idea to return to school again and work towards getting my own psychiatric nurse practitioner as well as along with my wife to help with the medication portion as well. So I'll be able to offer both therapy and medication and kind of keep everything in-house versus having to send it out.
I'm so fortunate to meet smart people like yourself and have brothers that are in this expertise. And I think for our audience today, we'll get a chance to hear from you advice to them, because this is all about the end user listening to someone that's in the field that you're in to give them advice. And I think this is important for the end user who is listening about a couple of things. A lot of people are going through stress, some mental health things, what's happening now politically now has maybe some impact economically, educationally, all of those things, whether you are 10 years old, 50 years old, 20 years old, everybody could benefit from listening to advice from someone like yourself. And on their own personal journey, they're probably saying, does someone understand me? Does someone understand me? So give some advice to our viewers out there about how they should be taking care of themselves in this time. Um, Even though it's a time of challenge, but we're always going to have times of challenges. But how can they take care of their mental health during this time frame that they can nurture them and
Mhm.
triumph even those things that are difficult for them?
So you can definitely do that in a couple of different ways. I think I got a good five talking points on it.
Good.
One of them is basically addressing the stigma that comes with seeking help. Historically speaking, like reaching out for any type of mental health therapy, anything like that, has kind of been looked down on, especially in the African American community. Like we don't do that, we can't afford that. Um, it's just been one of those things. So one of the things I like to do is encourage open conversation with mental health with individuals, have them have that conversation with their families and communities. So sometimes make that the the dinner table conversation. Hey, you ever just thought about that? Let's talk about that a little bit more. How you feeling about that? What do you think about possibly seeing a therapist? I'm not saying you crazy or anything like that, or you need extreme help, but just open up the conversation and you'll be surprised how that kind of gives people a relief and well, dang, you did notice it. I didn't think anybody noticed it. And next thing you know, they're looking for help a little bit more. Recognizing and coping with trauma. Like today we are basically shown trauma in various ways over and over again. I preach on being careful of what you watch on social media to the news at this point, because so many things are shown in front of you and it would affect your mental health and you're not even aware of it. I often give the example of myself one time where when I was working with the Defense Logistics Agency, I was on my lunch break and the Kenosha shooting had just happened up there in Wisconsin. And of course, on my news feed, they were just showing the video of the young man walking through the crowd with the assault rifle and everything. They showed the video of him shooting the people in the crowd and literally walking right past the police officers. They letting him through the gate. Afterwards, like I was off for about a few days and I couldn't put my hand on it. Like I was really like something is different. I don't know what's going on. Wasn't interacting with my kid at the time. Only had one at that point. Wasn't interacting with my baby like that. It's kind of cold to my wife, didn't know why. And then when I finally realized what it was like, yeah, you got to limit that type of stuff. You can be informed without going to look at the actual videos because it's the videos a lot of time from that it causes the trauma, seeing it actually play out in front of you. So from that point, I kind of made a conscious effort. Anytime something like that comes on my timeline, I'm not going to go look at the actual video. Now I'll stay tuned to get my own information and to be aware of what's going on around me. But like anything like that, I don't need to see the actual video clip. Even
Great
down to
tip.
like entertainers and things like that, when they have those videos online. I'm
Yeah.
not going to click that link. I don't need to see that either. So just being aware of how much trauma we subject ourselves to willingly is a good point I want people to be aware of as well. So limiting that type of stuff. Um, if you are going to seek a therapist, understand that every therapist is not for you. It may take you a little bit to find the right match. And that's okay. That could be a part of your process. You may go to a therapist and you may feel like you guys aren't connecting at all. If you give it 1 or 2 sessions and it still feels that way, a good therapist will be able to pick up on it as well. I'm like, hey, maybe I'm not the therapist for you. Some therapists, unfortunately, they are a little money hungry. So even if they pick up on it and know it, they may not suggest it. So on that point, it becomes your responsibility. And something's not clicking right between me and this person. And move on. It's no harm, no foul when you tell your therapist, hey, I don't think you're the right therapist for me. I'm just going to move on. Or even ask, do they have referrals? Um, I find myself doing that a few times a year where I'll get referred a client and we get to talking and whatever topic they're bringing to me is like maybe I'm not the best person for that. But you know who? I got a chapter brother who's also a therapist. Let me get you his information. Let me slide that to you. Go ahead, give Dr. Cuffy a call and see how that works for you. So having to realize that every therapist isn't going to be for you. It really is a matter of finding that right person for you. Now, for the African American community, that can be even a little harder because our numbers are a little lower as far as licensed therapists out here and just mental health professionals in general. But same process. You want to connect with somebody who can connect with you. If they can understand what you're saying with your nonverbal and your verbal communication, that's even a plus. So even if they're asking you if you understand and you nodding your head yes, and deep down you're like, I really don't know. That person should be able to pick up on it. I think my wife gave me the example where she had to deal with something maybe a few weeks ago where she was in the hospital. The doctor came in to talk with the patient, and she could just see it all on the patient's face, like, you don't understand the word this doctor is saying. But the doctor is asking, like, you understand? They're like, yes, yeah, I got it, So doctor ends up walking out the room, and she's like, hey, let me talk to you real quick. Do you really understand what's going on? And they kind of like, I'm all right. They let me go, so I'm all right. She was like, yes, but this is what he's saying. You need to get this checked out. We need you to go talk to this person, talk to this person. And just being able to pick up on those nonverbals is so important that get missed. Um, the other thing is build yourself a strong support system. Community, social support. If you're involved with the church, use that as a nice support system. If you have your friend circle, make sure you're staying connected with them. Encourage your friends if they're going through something, to reach out for help. A lot of times, especially in the male friend groups, like we'll crack jokes on one another in the group chat. Every now and then you gotta really, hey, all right, I know we joking, but hey, you really okay, man? Hey, call me. Let's take this out the group chat. Call me, let's talk about this, and maybe I can link you up with somebody that can help. So just making sure you have a good support system. And I guess the last talking point I would say is making sure you prioritize self-care. A lot of us are on the go 24/7, like just running, running, running. We got to take time to sit down and relax and just enjoy life the best that we can with everything going on in the economy. Even if that means just sitting at home, going out in the backyard with your kids or whatever, just slow down every now and then just to breathe and kind of reset yourself. Otherwise, if you don't sit down, life has a way of sitting you down for a
Ah,
bit.
life.
So that's where you get the, oh, your doctor's appointments aren't going as good as you thought they were. You got the high blood pressures going on
Yeah,
and all those type of things. So either you sit down or life will sit you down eventually. So just
know
make
that.
sure prioritize self-care. So those are
Well, you
that would be the main advice I would give.
well, Dr. Scott, you gave us 5 points that I think I just want to um, just reinforce again to our end users. One, he says, encouraging conversations about what you're going through, sitting down and expressing that. The second thing is recognizing the trauma.
Mhm.
And when you recognizing the trauma, I love the strategy that you gave and said, people are looking at social media a lot, and sometimes they can internalize that and then take that out. So limit on how take it in, etc. That's a great strategy. And then when you ask for the third piece, a therapist, having that right fit. We all understand the right fit. I mentioned this in my book. You can go to I'm going to buy this shirt, I'm going to buy this dress, I'm going to buy this jacket, or whatever that is, and you want it to fit right, and you want to feel the most comfortable with that person. And two things I heard you say about picking up that therapist is able not only to pick up the verbal, but the nonverbal cues from the end user, and having the fourth state support system, having a good support system around you, family, friends, and people that you can trust, having those coaches or mentors, that's very important to the end user. And I think that's something that everybody can pick up from. And the last one is to promote self-care. I talk about this really in in chapter 5, but it's great to hear that you say it as a therapist and a licensed therapist, that promoting self-care, whether social, emotional, or physical, you gotta keep that in place. I went through that myself by trying to take care of everybody else and didn't take care of me. And now they're going, oh, you lost weight. You've done all this stuff because I had to go back and get me. So everybody that's out there, those are 5 great tips that Dr. Fred Scott just gave to you as a licensed therapist. And I think those are things you can carry back with you as actionable steps, inspiring success with all of you out there, and you getting some behind the scenes things. And you know what? I'm going to ask you to share me with this. Tell us, why is it important, most of all, um, and some folks go, I hear him, but I don't hear him. And you've already answered this, but we're just going to reinforce it. To nurture you, to get the support, if you don't do it, what could end up happening that you have seen in your practice?
So if you don't do it, you end up um you end up with a lot of burnt out therapists, and you don't want a burnt out therapist as well. That's almost just like you're talking to a brick wall at that point. They may nod their head, yes, I agree, and keep, but you're not getting anything from it. But I say that to say this as well. I just won't say it's important to nurture me, but Honestly, any African American professional out here is in need of it. For most of us, it's about giving back to the communities and showing like the younger generations that we are able to accomplish so much more than what's just shown to us on TV and the social media. When a patient walks in the office and you see that they look just like you and can actually relate to them, um, you pick up, like I said earlier, you pick up on a lot of small details that go unnoticed at first. And sometimes you can see the relief on their face, especially with my name. But sometimes they get referred to me and they still don't go to the website. They won't look at my social media platforms and everything. And they will literally just show up to the office. Hey, I got a referral for Dr. Fred Scott. And when they walk in the office and see a black man sitting in the chair, they kind of like, okay, all right, because I just knew it was somebody else. So you can see that relief come across their face sometimes. But they opened up just a little bit more. So then that makes them share a little extra. And in those small extra details is where you see the change a lot of times that they are looking for to happen. So what support do I need? Honestly, just share the information out there. Pass the information on to the next person, and hopefully they will do the same to keep it going. Building that network of therapists. So, hey, I need a black therapist. Okay, cool. Or I just need a male therapist. All right, cool. I can know about five of them right now. And if I reach out to one of them, I'm sure they know another five, that can get you connected. So just sharing the information out there is really all that I would say I need at this point.
I have a question for you.
Yes,
And
sir.
the question I have is the following. A lot of people are going to say, he sounds like somebody I can relate to. How can I get a hold of Dr. Fred Scott? Um, how can I get a hold of this Fred Scott? Especially when they said, I think I need a therapist. I think someone, regardless of my race, I think I could relate to him. He could help me in my journey and support me on the issues. And it resonated with me about the five things. Where can they find you?
So, the easiest way to find me would be through the website, which is www.beandmh.com. Or they can give the office a call at 757-338-1421.
Great.
Now, I will tell anybody that called the office, please leave a voicemail. Like, you don't understand how many calls I get a day where they do not leave a voicemail. And it's like, it's too much spam out there just to call back every single number that calls. Because every time I call, it's, hey, your Amazon warehouse package is still here. We need your credit card. All right, and hang up. So leave a voicemail. I promise I will call you back. If not, somebody on staff will call you back as soon as possible. So if you call, leave a voicemail if we don't pick up.
Thank you so much. I want to say this. We want to help everybody out there to triumph the issues that they're having, to get past the things that they're doing, so for them to achieve their goals, so they can lead themselves to where their life journey is going through. And most of all, educate them, especially in this field of mental health, the best practices so they can move forward and they can nurture themselves and most of all continue to thrive. See, that's where I wrote that's the talent of TALENT. And I'm so excited I got a chance to do this podcast with you, Dr. Fred Scott, because I think the world of you. You have great expertise, and he's doing a phenomenal job. If you want to continue to unlock your potential wherever you are and you need that mental health therapy, see Fred Scott. And if you want to read the book or what I said, use that too. Combination of multiple resources. Thank you, sir. We'll stop right there.
All right, thank you for having me.